Hey everyone, and welcome to the lesson on primary source analyses number 1. And we are going to do the Declaration of Independence. So this is part of module 3 of your tasks for week 2. So I am going to leave it in this slide format so that you can see what I've done as far as instructions and how you'll be working in this live document, okay? So once you've made a copy of this document in Schoology, you're going to scroll through and work through it. So this main page here, it's just, hey, this is part 1. So we've got my Bitmoji here with the number 1, so you know which part you're working on. And on the second page, I like to put in the faces of learning. They can be treacherous, they can be scared, they can be excited, they can be frustrating, they can be sometimes it's just so overwhelming that we want to shut down. So just recognize what face of learning you have at that moment and realize that everybody goes through it and we can work through those things. Just don't shut down completely and watch through the video. And if you need any support, I'm here to help, okay? So let's get into our lesson here. We are going to get into the Declaration of Independence. What's it about and why does it matter? Well, in any U.S. history or American government class, it's the epitome of what we start with, and then we'll move into the Constitution. So in order for you to understand the Declaration of Independence, we're going to work through analyzing the document and what was meant in the document, okay, and how we understand it. So on slide 4 is really where you're going to start working with materials, okay? So I have highlighted the instructions in this bottom portion here, which is the notes section of the slide. It says, think about things that you already know or have heard about the Declaration of Independence. Write down at least 5 thoughtful questions about what you would like to learn about the Declaration of Independence. Okay, so we're breaking down into categories what we already know and what we want to know. So in this format here, we would write down examples of things that we know. So I know that the Declaration is this. I have heard that the Declaration of Independence was about blank. I am assuming the Declaration of Independence is about independence. Whatever it is that you would like to write into this category of what you know, really think about it. If you don't know a whole lot, go ahead and guess based on the title, the Declaration of Independence, and just based on some information that you've already kind of been looking at as you've gone through parts of week 1 and parts of week 2, okay? What do you want to know? So here's some information that you want to write down, some real thoughtful questions, the who, the what, the where, the why, the how. So, you know, wrote the Declaration of Independence. I'm just going to abbreviate it there, okay? That might be something that you're interested in. You may not be interested in who wrote the Declaration of Independence. So you can write a question such as, why was the Declaration written? That's a great question, and we'll get into more of that as we go further into this lesson. Okay, so just kind of think about those things, keep them in mind. What do you know? I need at least 5 things and 5 questions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase this because this is a live document. And then you will, once you've done that, you're going to move on to slide 5. Now, slide 5, I'm asking you to read it. Okay, I'll read it to you in this lesson, but I also want you to read it for yourself. Okay, excerpt to examine is the first part of the Declaration of Independence. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Now, I don't know about you, but that is some really old language, and it's kind of hard to go through that and say, oh, bam, I get it. I know what it is, okay? You may not know what that means, and that's okay. That's where we're going to dive into this portion, and we're going to really dissect it. And I want you to really think about breaking it down piece by piece and finding out first What are words you don't understand? Okay, so one of the first things I would do when I go through this is I'll read this and I'll say, oh, okay, I'm not really sure what human events means. I don't really know. Okay. Two, I'm going through here. Political bans. What are political bans? The laws of nature. What are the laws of nature? Okay, so you're going to kind of go through that. Now, just keep in mind, these are words that you don't understand, so it's going to be very individual to you. Okay, it's not what Miss B doesn't understand, it's what you don't understand. Okay, and that may differ, and that's okay. Once you've completed that, you're going to go through and go to slide 7, and you're going to look up the words you didn't understand. So let's say human events. Okay, so that's one of the words that I didn't understand. And maybe I'm going to move this right here. Maybe I'm just going to click on this little explore button down here. Okay, and that's going to pop up in the window, and I'm going to look up human events. Okay, now it may not come up with a direct exact description of what it is, okay, but maybe I'll look up here. Humanevents.com, that doesn't really look like something that it would be written about. Let's see here. Maybe we'll put in definition. Maybe that might bring up something else. Okay. Ooh, human events, definition. Okay, so I'll click on that, see what it has to offer me. If I like it, I can use it. If it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I might have to keep looking. Okay, so human events definition, it states here, human events takes its name from the first sentence of the United States Declaration of Independence. Besides, human events are not fully controlled by humans. Okay, so there's multiple listings here about using human events. So maybe what I might want to use is something that will give me a better idea of the answer. So this doesn't really give me a whole lot right here. So maybe I need to go back and find a different definition. Definition between the word human. So human definition. And I might have to create my own. Okay, so what's the definition for human? And this will pop up here. Okay, so relating to humans, we're talking about relating to or characteristics of humans. Okay, so here's an actual definition. It's a person. Okay, so things related to people. That might be a good way to put that in there. So I might put in here the word people. Okay, and then I'm going to put in events in the definition here. And let's see what I can find. Something that happens, an occurrence, a noteworthy happening, a social occasion or activity, an adverse or damaging medical occurrence, any of the contests in a program of sports, a postulated outcome, condition, or eventuality, the final outcome or determination of a legal action, archaic. There's a bunch here that are listed. When I'm looking at this, I might say this is something that happens. Okay, so something that happens or something that's noteworthy. So people, what would we say? People involved. Involved in an occurrence or something that has happened. Now, it doesn't exactly tell us It doesn't exactly tell us like a bam, I can copy and paste the definition here. I kind of had to put it together for myself. So people involved in an occurrence or something that has happened, we don't necessarily know if it's a negative thing or a positive thing, but this might help us better understand what was going on in the excerpt, okay? So you would do that for all 5 of your vocabulary terms. And then I would come here to slide 8. And I would take a look at putting some of this together. Now that I know words that I didn't understand and the context they're in, now I can kind of go back and reread this excerpt with a better idea of what I understand, okay? And then you're going to put into your own words a summary about what it is stating. What is the excerpt stating? It doesn't need to be nearly as long. You just need to make sure it's a complete summary that explains the information of the excerpt, and it needs to be in your own words, okay? Be sure to write, to use grammar and appropriate grammar and punctuation when you do that. Slide 9 is going to be where we're trying to pick stuff out, okay? So we've gone through and we've determined what words we don't know. We've gone through and we found out the information for the words we don't know. We put together a short summary based on our understanding now that we've figured out some of the language that's in there. And now we're going to pick stuff out. So when we pick stuff out, you're going to pick out 3 important pieces of information from the text. You're going to read this and you're going to say, okay, this is important. I want to have that for some type of reference. Okay, so when I look at this, I might say, oh, he's saying course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands. Okay, so sometimes it's necessary for people to dissolve the political bands. That might be something that I put here. Okay, it doesn't have to be the complete sentence. It could just be a fragment of the sentence. Necessary for one people all right. Okay, so they're saying there's a reason. There might be a reason why we need to dissolve being tied together as a unit, okay? What are those reasons? I don't know. So I'd go through and I'd read this and I'd pick out 2 more items that I think are really important. And then I would figure out, okay, what I need to do with this now after I have these 3 pieces of information is move to slide 10. Now, slide 10 is going to ask you to put together an overview of what you understood from the text, okay? So in the instructions here, it says write a brief response about what you understand from the excerpt and be sure to explain your support or reasoning using information from the text, okay? And I'm gonna make this a little smaller because there's so much going on here. Hint is combine your answers from slide 8 and 9 to develop your answer, okay? So you need to just make sure that your answer flows smoothly, it makes sense, it's clear and easy to understand. But you can take your summary, add in the pieces of information that you pulled as far as supporting pieces of the document, and then put that into your summary, okay? Just make sure that when you're pulling pieces of information, you're either paraphrasing it or you're quoting it, okay? So just understand that once you do that together, you'll have a real nice, tight, cohesive unit of what you understood from that small excerpt that we went over, okay? If you have any questions, again, just email me, call me, get a hold of me somehow in the Zooms, the lives. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, okay? So that is to wrap up part 1 of the primary source document analysis for the Declaration of Independence.